911, what's your emergency? Hello. God, I got lost out here in the snow. I can't find my way. Sir, we need an address. I think I'm in the middle of an iceberg. Welcome everybody back to another Iceberg video. It is me, GMOD Gaming. Today we're looking at the Video Games, Myths, and Urban Legends Iceberg. I ended up combining the first two layers for the first layer, and I only have about 4 or 5 entries for those combined just because these are really well-known urban legends. You know, a lot of them are like, did you know Herobrine exists? You know, did you know about the Polybius? It sounds like a disease to me, to be honest. I'm going to split this iceberg into 2 videos so you can expect the next part real soon. Today we're taking a look at the first 5 layers. Let's go ahead and get started. The Diablo 2 Secret Cowl level. I gotta be honest, Diablo 2 is probably one of my favorite games in that genre. I loved the remake they did. I loved how it looked and played, and I really can't wait for Diablo 4 this summer. That said, I really never got that deep in Diablo 2, and never really saw what the game really had to offer. And apparently, it had a lot to offer, especially in the way of farm-raised cattle. I'm talking about beef. That's right, there is an Easter egg level present in Diablo 2 in which players can combine a Wirt's leg and a town portal to get the strange red portal to an unknown place. And if you choose to step through, you are immediately welcome to West Virginia. Country roads, take me home. West Virginia, Mountain Mama. And you're expected to start running your own moonshine business in 2 days of gameplay. No joke. That is a joke. But you are whisked away to Cow Country. You know, Cow Country, Diddy Kong's quest. In this foreign land, you are expected to put aside your veganism and slay the many cows that roam around as enemies. The normal enemies you run into here are referred to as hell bovines, which is probably the scariest way you could describe a cow. Then there is the boss to the area known as the Cow King. And much like other kings in video games, this guy rules with an iron fist, or an iron hoof, I guess, if we're talking about cows. This was legitimately a pretty great place to farm for levels and XP before it was patched out of the game. And that's because the normal cows gave a decent amount of XP and weren't hard to kill since, you know, they were pretty much slower than most of the regular enemies you'd run into in the game. What does that say? Eat more chicken? Nah, man, eat more bovine. Let's fucking go to Cowtown. Fun is infinite. Sonic CD is a game I don't know much about, as I'm not a huge Sonic head. Any Sonic heads out there? But I do know the game and its infamy. That is because it contains one of the strangest and creepiest Easter eggs. This is a pretty popular Easter egg at this point. I'd be surprised if most of you don't know about it already. If you access the sound test in Sonic CD and enter the right code, you can see what was once going to be used as a anti-piracy screen for the game. Or at least that's what people thought it was. Because what's really going on here?
You scared the shit out of me.
What is this? In Japanese text it reads, "Fun is infinite" with Sega Enterprises. MAJIN. So from that translation, it seems just like a normal Easter egg, right? And the music in this one seems to be, you know, not all that creepy, to be honest. So what's the deal? Why is this so prominent? Why is everybody so creeped out by this? Well, for starters, this is the Japanese version of Sonic CD. Let's take a look over at the US release. Well, that music changed it. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I feel like that's K. Rool laughing in the back mix of this track. Why does this music have to be so disturbing? What happened? Why did they have to deliberately change it to be more creepy in the US version? I haven't even talked about that fucked up Sonic in the back. He's wearing an anonymous mask. Like, what are you gonna do, dude? You gonna hack into Western banks and Robin Hood the money back to Sega, you fucking blue rat? The screen still reads as Japanese in the US one, but due to many botched translations, especially in the 90s, Majin in the message read as devil to a lot of people. This, along with everything else in the screen, kind of made gamers spiral, and eventually it would create a foundation for things like Sonic.exe and other gaming creepypastas to stand on. So thanks for that, Neckbeard Sonic, you stupid fuck. The Rayman and Grinch leak. Listen, I was pretty happy when we were getting more DLC for Smash Bros. Ultimate when they announced the second round of DLC characters. I immediately knew that meant more fake rumors and fake leaks, and I'm here for it. I remember loving these as a kid, and as they were happening surrounding the release of Smash 4 and Ultimate, it was fun to sit back and just take in all this fake content. Just give me more of a Fucking slam it in my face. Some of the biggest leaks included the announcement of a fully playable Rayman character in Smash 4. This was released as a joke and was mocked up using clever editing and modding from the creator. This was pretty heartbreaking for me at the time, as I believe I even fell for the leak for a minute. Still can't get over that one. Although it was really well done, the hoax itself, and the creator got some credit for the high effort he put into it, so no harm, no foul, I guess. Perhaps the only other biggest rumor / leak next to the fake Rayman announcement for Smash Ultimate was the Grinch leak. Yeah, this is starting to sound like some Watergate shit, right? Mr. President, we have the fucking chopper prepared. This rumor surfaced in late 2018 when a leaked image was uploaded to 4chan showing a supposed final mural of the game at the time. This mural would feature characters like Banjo and Kazooie, Chorus Kids, Geno, Isaac, Ken, and Shadow from Sonic. The only other discernible thing this image has besides the oversized emojis is the small Grinch render in the bottom right of the screen. This little image right here seems so unassuming, but it gave this leak legs for way too long. Like, this leak blew up because of this little PNG image of Grinch. And I'll explain why in a second, but you have to understand the actual impact of this leak. I had heard about it at the time, and it had been telephoned so much at that point that by the time it got to me, I thought Nintendo was collabing with Seuss Company and adding Grinch as a playable character to Smash Bros. And that's not what it is at all, so get that actually insanely funny idea out of your fucking head right now. Anyway, back to it. This Grinch image added validity to the rest of the leak, as at the time there were no renders of the Grinch for that movie that had been released at the time. This means this worker already had their hands on early promotional material for a random Grinch movie, so why wouldn't the Smash Bros. One be real? It is a lot to put on assumption, and obviously most of the characters mentioned never made it into the game, but it's so funny that this little image down there caused the whole internet to break over a completely different thing. I do hope Nintendo does make another Smash game one day, not just so we can have another Smash game, but so we can have these insane leaks and rumors happen again, man. They're so fun. Catastrophe Crow. Catastrophe Crow is a gaming ARG that focuses on 3D platformer clones of the N64 era. This was a supposed game that was cancelled and being developed by a company known as Opus Interactive. I couldn't get a clear answer to as if this game ever actually existed or not, or if it was truly a creation for ARG purposes. The ARG, which is what I assume it is, takes the simple idea of this concept and turns it into a tale of disaster, and well, to be frank, catastrophe.
I don't think it's funny.
The original idea for Catastrophe Crow came from that of the creator's daughter, who was young at the time and did a drawing of a crow who looked, pretty catastrophized out. There was a supposed demo on a developer's cart on the N64, and there are several videos that show the mod running on old hardware, making it a little bit more believable. There is a supposed encrypted message in the beginning of the game that, when translated, reveals the game developer apologizing to what seems like his dead daughter at this point, which, yeah, that's a little fucked up. The whole ARG is super interesting, and I just wanted to summarize it a bit here to pique anyone's interest who might want to know more about this dang fucking crow. Purple prizes in Super Mario 64 DS. We all know the famed L is real rumor from Super Mario 64. Do the 15,000 circles around the fountain in the back of the castle, then switch your grandma's pain pills to sugar pills, and then you finally unlock Luigi. There was a very similar rumor for Super Mario 64 DS, but since Luigi was already added to the game, it was another infamous Nintendo character shot at the rumor mill. This, of course, was Waluigi. Super Mario 64 DS featured 4 playable characters, being Mario, Luigi, Wario, and even Yoshi. Many speculated that since Wario was in the game, that surely at some point, Waluigi would become unlockable. So this alone started a rumor that Waluigi was hidden in the game, and it was up to players to find out how to unlock him. This was even backed by a strange 4th door in the character select room, because in the game Yoshi is missing a room since you start the game as him. So the 4th door here was used instead for a secret star mission, but many couldn't accept that. That's all that was behind the door, as there is already an air of mystery behind the door itself. It seemingly doesn't let the player do anything in the room until you've collected a certain number of stars. Therefore, it added even more reasons for players to believe that the mystery had something to do with Waluigi himself. Throughout the years after the game's release, the rumors would come and go, but one of the most successful rumors was known as the Purple Prizes flyer. This was a flyer that was uploaded to DeviantArt, and it showcased exactly how to unlock Waluigi in 64DS. They didn't make it easy either, as the only explanation we have to unlock Waluigi is this vague path we have to go on in the game. Waluigi requires players to find all the stars and be the fastest foot racer in the land. Afterwards, a secret switch will reveal my door. All that remains is a challenge from the Rabbit King for its key. This alone was enough for players to start speculating whether or not it was true and attempting the challenge for themselves, no matter how vague. Of course, this was just another hoax, and Waluigi was once again left out of another game he would have flourished in. But you know, it's okay. He's fine, it's okay, my king. Go rest easy now. PIGGSY and San Andreas. Rockstar Games are no strangers to having weird things populate their game worlds. They aren't afraid of adding in Easter eggs left and right that in other games would just come out to be hoaxes. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas has a lot of Easter eggs like this, specifically surrounding the paranormal. Obviously you have your typical ghost and Bigfoot sightings, but there is actually a lesser known character who is rumored to have appeared in San Andreas. This character is known as PIGGSY and is one of the antagonists from another game by Rockstar, Manhunt. Near the release of San Andreas, there was already some traction with this rumor, but it wasn't until a video that was uploaded to YouTube tracking an entirely different Easter egg in the game that the investigation really ramped up. In the end of a video by Darth Dementis, who was at the time looking for the Shady Creeks creature, near the end of a video a still frame of what appears to be a pig-like NPC can be seen in the game. This was the first piece of evidence to proving the NPC was in the game at the time. Since then, there have been a lot of appearances from PIGGSY surfacing online, but since time has passed, it's harder and harder to debunk those from modded copies of the game. There are several references to Manhunt and PIGGSY in the game itself. In the GTA universe. If you visit the Zero RC store in the game, you can find a small action figure of PIGGSY, which means there is technically a model of PIGGSY in the game. At the end of the day, I really wouldn't be surprised if this character was in the game. Kind of feel like someone would have hard evidence of its proof by now that isn't just a modded copy. So I don't really know. Do you think the Pigman lives in San Andreas? Mew 3. Pokemon has a lot of mystery under its hood. If it's not Lavender Town or Missing Node that will keep you up at night, it's surely going to be this monstrosity known as Mew 3. Mew 3 is not a real Pokemon, but it does officially exist in the Pokemon canon. That is because it comes from a Pokemon manga where the character Red decides to mix its Clefairy with Mewtwo DNA, making a Clefairy-Mewtwo hybrid known as Mew 3. Obviously the concept of Pokemon is already a little fucked up, but now we're mixing DNA genomes. Like, how far will humans go just so they can have these shiny little badges? This is fucked up, man. I didn't sign up for this.
Stop it. Get some help.
The only other official mention of Mew 3 was an offhand comment by a scientist in the cartoon, commenting that they should probably start work on Mew 3 after they completed Mew 2. Too bad there's already a crossbreeding hick out there already working on that one, science guy. Get fucked, this is a dog-eat-dog world. Or I guess rather a Growlithe-eat-Growlithe world. Ha 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 ha. Fuck. Under Master Chief's helmet. I'm not the biggest Halo head, as when it was in its peak, I was busy playing, I don't know, Mario Galaxy or something. I was probably like 14. Now, I usually chose Sony and Nintendo hardware and didn't have a 360 until Halo couldn't make an impression on me anymore. I definitely see the appeal, especially for the multiplayer, but I really don't have to be the one to say that Halo has been weak as of recent.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
If you want to see someone passionately talk about why the Halo series is kind of potentially dead after Infinite, you should check out the Ackman's video on it. Even as a non-fan of the series, seeing his pain after the lackluster Infinite post-game support makes me really sad for Halo fans right now. But anyway, let's take it back to the heyday of Halo and talk about the main man, Master Chief, right quick. Master Chief is a pretty impactful main character for a first-person shooter. You know, FPSs already have the struggle of creating character for a character you can't even see most of the game. This is pretty cheaply done nowadays with corny dialogue, but back when Chief was banging, they were taking this shit seriously. With a great voice actor behind the character and some of the best battle cinematics, they were able to sell the idea of Master Chief without showing more than just a suit of armor. This suit would solidify itself as the brand of Halo and bring Master Chief into the Hall of Famers with characters like Mario and Donkey Kong and shit. However, through all the years, developers have decided to keep the mask on. This has led many curious players to wonder what Master Chief actually looks like under the armor. We already know he's a fucking superhuman, and that's because he towers over most of the other humans in the games. Developers have stated that there is an official design for Chief's face, but that will likely never be revealed as it is now deep within the archives of Bungie Studios. Chief has been described as being bald with several scars across his face, and there was one official time the game teased Master Chief without his helmet, and that was at the end of Halo 4 after completing the game on Legendary difficulty. This is obviously just a tease, but it adds validity to what the developers described him as. As for what we could see, he does have slight scarring. I feel like Bungie knew what they were doing, never revealing the face of Chief, as I think a part of what makes him so cool is the fact we never see him. We don't get to see his imperfections and just get to see the badass war machine he is in the games. I think there might be a time and place to fully get Chief out of that suit, but for now they should probably just stick with keeping him faceless. I just feel like it could quickly turn into an Isaac Clarke situation from the Dead Space series. After giving that character more character in Dead Space 2 and 3, I just ended up not liking him as much as when he was a fucking mute. Don't let my boy Chief go down that route. The Kakomelo leak. You'll never meet a more passionate group of fans than the Mario RPG fans. This was pretty apparent anytime Smash DLC was being promoted. Many people wanted to see the infamous Geno from the game make it into Smash, and he technically did as a Mii costume. Man, this was just a super big slap in the face to anybody who's been wanting Geno in Smash since I think as early as Melee even. Geno is probably one of the oldest requested characters that never made it in Smash as his own character. However, the Mario RPG love didn't stop there, as there was a leak that showed a Mii costume of the character known as Kakomalo from Mario RPG. This was a leak that also showed one of the Doom Mii costumes of one of the enemies from Doom. It was never confirmed to be real, but it was also never confirmed to be fake, at least to my knowledge. Obviously, this Mii costume never made it into the final game, but that doesn't mean it couldn't have existed at one time. Perhaps this was a fully developed Mii costume, but they decided to cut it for some reason. All in all, it's not a huge loss, as it would have just been a Mii costume, but if this is a fake hoax, kudos to whoever did it and not coming out and saying it was fake, even at this point. Xbox 720. Video game consoles are like anything else, they age. They become older, less impressive hardware as years go by, and near the end of the system's life cycle, gamers are expecting to hear about the next big thing from their favorite publishers. This was the case for the Xbox 360 era, and I think it was the strongest during this time, because the Sony versus Microsoft rivalry really boomed during this era, so there was a lot of time to speculate and argue about the next console the companies had coming. Everyone was obviously expecting the PS4 to be the next in line of PlayStations, but the next Xbox console was deemed the Xbox 720. This was taken by doubling the number 360 from the Xbox 360, and thus you have the sequel console. Yeah, you could argue Microsoft's naming schemes for these things definitely suck nowadays, but I don't think this would have made any more sense. The 360 was named that in reference to 360 degrees, and I don't know, I think they're trying to reference a full circle there, so going 720 wouldn't make much sense to me. There was one official marking of the Xbox being called Xbox 720, and that was in the movie called Real Steel. Anybody remember this? I never saw the movie, but apparently in one of the arenas they fight in, there was an ad for the Xbox 720. This cemented for some people who saw the film that this was early advertising for Microsoft's next system, but in reality it was just a creative leap for the director to try and timestamp the film in the future, because you know, if it's not the giant ass fully functioning robots fighting each other in the ring to let you know it's not modern day, an Xbox advert will surely save the day. I love speculation on next console releases, and in this era it was all the rage to hit a few internet forums and speculate with other incels around the world. What a good time. Shadow figures in GMOD. I was one of the people who didn't see the true grandeur that GMOD had to offer my first time playing it. It wasn't until I installed some weapon mods and some map mods and gathered some friends that I started to realize the potential this game had. There's a pretty strange urban legend surrounding the game, actually.
No shit.
As there are some sightings of shadowy black figures roaming certain maps within the game. These claims have been made by many who have played the game, and many have come forward with evidence even. However, since the game is already so heavily moddable and multiplayer, these are very easily faked. To me, this seems like the Gmod version of Herobrine, and many have chalked it up to just being that, a fake video game hoax made to scare people. For some reason, this phenomenon is known to happen more in single-player games of Gmod, which adds to the creepiness factor of it. Imagine you're just fucking around in single-player, you know, messing with models or building something, and boom, you see something staring at you in the distance. I think the game's already pretty creepy and eerie due to the liminal nature of most of its stages. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a real thing in the game, considering how strange the game already is. But yeah, this one kind of just seems to me like an early internet video game creepypasta that had too much fake evidence behind it. That Evil Farming Game. That Evil Farming Game was an internet legend that ran rampant on Reddit and other forum sites. This urban legend was based on a Reddit post made by a user called Sparta213, in which they posted to a forum asking if anyone knew of a Harvest Moon style farming simulator in which you are trying to avoid being charged with the murder of your wife. You heard me right. In the post, the user explains that from their memory, you are a normal farmer who accidentally stabs your wife and has to hide the body, along with, doing your everyday Harvest Moon tasks. After this comment, full-on investigations were launched in order to find the missing game. It even got its own dedicated subreddit as a hub for all things into the investigation. The conclusion of the investigation will likely disappoint you though, especially if you're into murdering your wife, because it turns out the game was a complete fabrication on the part of the original poster on Reddit. It wasn't done maliciously though, as the user did in fact remember a dark, violent farming simulator, but it was from a live stream by Vinesauce Joel, who was joking about the exact plot to this game.
It honestly, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like Harvest Moon, but with, like, corpses. That'd be a fun game, just playing as Harvest Moon, but throughout all of the gameplay, you gotta hide a dead corpse. You know what? No, fuck, you know what it is? Harvest Moon, it's just regular Harvest Moon with your wife, and midway in the game, you have an argument with your wife, and you accidentally kill her with, like, a saw blade. No, fuck it. You kill her with, like, a barbecue, kebab, rack. Like you impale her accidentally, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't mean that. Manage your farm, raise your chickens and milk the cows. You also gotta, like, hide the body from the cops sometimes, from health security checks, and, yeah.
It was during a live stream of a game called Body Harvest, and this was later confirmed by the user themselves, confirming that at one time they used to watch Joel and would even fall asleep to his live streams. So yeah, this joke must have landed right as this guy passed out at night and went down the wrong tube in his brain and ended up in the definitely real games category of his brain, and thus he came to Reddit to try to see if he could find the game. This story became so popular that there is actually a real game called That Evil Farming Game, and it's available on Steam right now, so if you want to go play it, check it out. I might be playing it soon. The Chunky Kong Assist Trophy. Smash Bros. Character leaks were pretty common leading up to the game releases, but it was rare to have leaks about assist trophies. Assist trophies are always the lamest version of getting your favorite character in Smash, right? We can all agree. Where are my Waluigi Day 1s at, huh? One of the rumored assist trophies for Smash 4 was Chunky Kong from Donkey Kong 64. He would have featured moves where he could slam on the ground and cause bananas to drop from the top of the screen. The supposed leak occurred during Nintendo's E3 2014 event where players were able to take part in the short demo for the game. This was one of the first hands-on experiences players had with the game, so they were quick to start reporting the assist trophies and other references they saw in the game. Among the many listed, Chunky Kong's name was thrown out there, and from several people at that. It seemed for a bit during the following weeks of E3 that Chunky had a pretty good chance at being in the next Smash Bros. Game. But alas, we all know now that this was a hoax. No Chunky Kong, not even in the lesser assist trophy form. The original hoax's creator came out later and said it was fake and an attempt to out other leakers for putting fake content out. I don't know, seems pretty fishy to me. Sure, you can go into it with good intentions, but when you start getting all that Chunky Kong clout, it can quickly go to your head. Scrupulous Fingor. This character was supposedly a cut character found within the files of New Super Mario Bros. On Nintendo DS. It is of a pretty simple in-design character with a small white head and large white hand that points. It was supposedly going to be a ghost enemy appearing in boo houses. When the character was brought up in an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto, he would turn away in disgust and end the interview there. He stormed out of the room, and the repercussions of that day have yet to be seen. What would set our boy off so much about this innocent little ghost character though? Perhaps it's a curse. This is actually backed up by the fact this enemy also appears in Super Mario 64. He appears in the files and has a simple text next to it that says, "You cannot ignore me forever, Mario." But instead of Mario, it's actually Miyamoto, and he has a curse he can't escape. I bet it's alcoholism. No, but this enemy is very fake and was uploaded by a shitpost Twitter account. It gained some popularity at first, and then soon it became more popular than the original post, so many believed this was actually a real thing. Any creation with this guy in it, like the Super Mario 64 DS, all of this was done to add more to the meme and ARG shitpost. But I'm here for it, man. Let me get my fucking prostate checked out by Scrupulous Fingor, you know? Marty the Thwomp. Listen, Marty the Thwomp isn't that little stupid Thwomp dude from Super Mario World like I know we were all thinking. Rather, this is a weird neon green Thwomp found in Bowser's Castle course in Mario Kart 64. This level was always one of my favorites, and trust me, it wasn't because I liked the challenge. It was mainly the stuff they did around the course to make it feel like you were actually driving through one of Bowser's castles. One of these things was the inclusion of the enemy Thwomps. These Thwomps are located around the course and can get in players' ways and smush them. There is one Thwomp who can't harm the player at all though, and the Thwomp is known as Marty. He is located on the first turn after entering Bowser's castle, and he is stuck behind bars. Yeah, looks like those racketeering charges finally caught up to you, old Mart, and now he's doing a hard time. Idiot. Nah, but I remember this guy when I was a kid. He used to really terrify me because, I don't know, I guess it was just how out of place he was. He's the only Thwomp locked up in a castle full of Thwomps, and he's green, and he even smiles when the player approaches the bars. I don't know what's up with dude, but he creeps me the fuck out. There are many theories as to what's going on with Marty and why he's there, but I like to think he is actually a good Thwomp who tried to help Mario and betrayed Bowser, so now he locked him behind bars in his castle. Or perhaps it's the other side of the pendulum. And old Marty here did something so fucked up even Bowser was like, yeah, that guy needs to be put away. There were rumors that you could unlock Marty as a playable racer, and to do that you needed to play as Bowser and do things like drive around the statue until you realize you have no life. Then you'd hear the sound of a 1-up and boom, you unlocked Marty. Alas, it seems we'll get no official comment on Marty as he's likely just a piece of decoration that was a little too out of place for most people. Pikachu hates Sony. I never played Hey You Pikachu, but from afar it looked pretty cool actually. It's basically just a home console Tamagotchi, but Pikachu themed. You could even talk to him with a microphone peripheral that came with the game. Finally, I can give Pikachu a piece of my mind. Stupid fucking asshole. This game wasn't really well received though, mostly due to the lack of content and being a little too simple in the game's gameplay. I don't know about all that, but I do know this game comes packed in with over 200 voice commands that Pikachu can pick up on and respond to. And yes, I checked fuck you Pikachu, and it's 100% on that list, because it's all I said the whole time.
Because the fucking youth of society. You shut up when I'm talking to you! You shut your mouth!
Another thing that Pikachu can respond to is the player mentions the competitor company Sony or PlayStation. Pikachu will actually become angry and annoyed at the player. Yeah, Pikachu wasn't a huge fan of the Uncharted series, okay? He said it was too unrealistic. Even to this day, if you play Hey You Pikachu, you can get him to negatively react to you saying Sony to his face. Sony and PlayStation aren't actually words that Pikachu has in his response library, and it's actually likely a coincidence that these words sound similar to something that Pikachu does find annoying. Regardless, sometimes, you know, things in life just work out. Like now we know Pikachu is probably a huge ass fucking Game Pass supporter. God Slayer Bowser. In the beginning we had regular Bowser, then we were blessed with Giga Bowser. Then, in late 2021, we were graced by the presence of God Slayer Bowser. Or, at least that is what Nintendo would have called Fury Bowser if they had what we like to call, where I'm from, testicles. During the initial reveal of Bowser's redesign for the Bowser's Fury game, a Twitter user stated that during the press release that Nintendo deemed this Bowser God Slayer Bowser. This would have been amazing, as this is exactly the type of energy this guy is emitting. It's like Kratos is here, and here he is. Perhaps this was a translation error, but the user states in the subtweet that it was just a joke. God Slayer Bowser would be so amazing. But we'll have to wait for the next reinvention of the Mario series in 2045 for that. Buckle down, boys. It's gonna be a long winter. Kakarot. Kakarot is a mysterious Sega Genesis game that is said to come out in the 90s. However, the game doesn't have any real evidence of existing beyond its crude box art mock-up. The game was rumored to be so low print because it was an unlicensed game. The game would actually pop up in discount dollar stores like Dollar General, and the box art image we have was supposedly uploaded by someone who worked at a store like that sold the game. The only other supporting evidence is a sound clip of Kakarot saying, "Hi, I'm Kakarot."
Hi, I'm Kakarot.
If you want my opinion on this, it seems like it originated on 4chan, and quite honestly, a product of falsified documents. That's right, Crocodile fans, you have to stick to Croc for now. There is a small chance that this game actually exists, but there is so much more evidence to support that it's fake, and I gotta say, the lack of gameplay really doesn't help this hoax. Overall though, this character gives me a Gex type feel, so I think it's safe to say we should all collectively pour one out for this blocky Croc. The Mortal Kombat SNES Blood Code. It was pretty slim pickings back in the day if you wanted to take your frustrations out in a virtual world. The best you had was something like Doom, or maybe even going to your arcade and fighting some random guy on the Mortal Kombat machine. That is until they had the bright idea of console ports, and thus the home version of Mortal Kombat came to be. This version was a duller version of the arcade version, but it was necessary to run on the inferior hardware. There was two versions, a Super Nintendo version and a Sega Genesis version, and both were pretty unique from one another. The Genesis version was the fullest version of the game, which featured blood and gore that everyone, came to see. However, in the Super Nintendo version, Nintendo forced Midway at gunpoint to take the blood out of the game. Having the port already made, they did decide to just change the color of the blood in the game to resemble gray sweat. Whew, what a stretch. All hope wasn't lost though, as there was a rumor of a blood cheat code that could be inputted into the game, returning it to its original gory state. No matter how many times it was passed around the lunch tables of schools across the world, there was no such blood code. Nintendo sucked the life out of this version of the game, and it's only been recently that they've started to be more lax on the family-friendly brand image they've upholded for so many years. But maybe the pendulum has swung too far in the wrong direction now. Yikes. Laser Suit in Super Mario World. I love Super Mario World, but if it needed something, it was more abilities. Sure, the cape is iconic, then the fire flower is always a nice time. The game needed some pizzazz. This game needed tech. I'm talking high tech. I'm talking real steel. And it seems that at one time, many believed that there was a possibility of there being a hidden power-up that no one had ever found. That is until 2006, when a video showing off the hidden power-up was uploaded to YouTube. It showed that if you access the already hard to get to secret area, there's a hidden pipe in between two blocks that takes you to a level named 3 question marks. Then it takes Mario to a screen where there is a new power-up he can use. This power-up grants him the ability to play RoboCop, and Mario has the time of his life with it, blowing the fuck out of some Koopas. Pause. It basically works like the cape in the game, except now you can fire lasers. Oh, and also Mario looks like a fucking G now, so there's that too. Unfortunately, this was fake and running on a modded version of Super Mario World, but man, this is a really cool take on a Mario power-up, and I would love to see a version of something like this in a future Mario game someday. The creator of the hoax gave the reason as to why they did it in the first place, and it was just simply to see who would fall for it, which is just the best nothing reason you could give for doing something like this. Just fucking say, I wanted to trick people. Bill's Secret Garden. Pokemon games always had some of the best urban legends in them, if you ask me. There were always rumors of ultra rare Pokemon that you can only get if you gun down Professor Oak in cold blood. Nah, but these rumors have been there since the beginning. That's right, in Pokemon Red and Blue, there is an NPC known as Bill who has a backyard the player can access. This would become known as Bill's Secret Garden, and it is because there is a portion of the garden that is off limits to the player, even though it looks like they can access it. This has made players speculate what may lay beyond Bill's garden. Many speculated that there were rare legendary Pokemon hanging out back of Bill's house, because I guess Bill has the best Pokemon snacks. I bet he has a bunch of fudge rounds, man. Whew. I could see it. Bill's definitely a fudge round guy. Alas, there is no way to access the garden without hacks, and even with hacks, there isn't some legendary 6th flavor Dorito out there, so we'll just have to all keep looking somewhere else. Yoshi and Pokemon. Listen, Bill's weed farm wasn't the only strange rumor that came from Pokemon Blue and Red. There was a rumor that Yoshi from the Super Mario series was an obtainable Pokemon in the game. The player would do this by evolving a Dragonite into said Yoshi. The process to do this was pretty strenuous and tasked 2 players with 2 copies of the game to 100% the game, including collecting all 150 Pokemon. Only then they could trade a Dratini to the other player, who would then have to level the Dratini up to a Dragonite. Then that player would have to trade it back to the Pokemon, and they'd have to take that Pokemon to the dingy basement of the unknown dungeon. Then after that, you'll want to go to the place Mewtwo is known to chill on a Tuesday night, and use a Firestone to evolve Dragonite finally into Yoshi. This, of course, was a hoax, but it was really well constructed. It was first revealed in the gaming magazine back in '99 and had pictures to prove it. This was so believable that people still think it's in the game. Man, Yoshi really said, "F that fat Italian dude, I'm gonna be a Pokemon now." Nintendo on. Nintendo has had many rumored consoles throughout the years. Most of these turn out to be hoaxes, much like the Nintendo On. During the announcement of the development of the Nintendo Revolution, which came to be known as the Nintendo Wii, there was a lot of hoax development photos of the system. I remember seeing images in the early days of the internet and getting hype, and it was probably a very fake mock-up like this image right here I was looking at. One of the most popular Nintendo console hoaxes was known as the Nintendo On. Nintendo On was supposed to be a VR Nintendo experience in which you would remove a headset from the console itself, which also acted as the mount for the headset. The design of the console, along with a very high-effort promo video, made many people believe that Nintendo was at the forefront of VR video games at the time, almost a decade before anyone else would even take a step into that market. Of course, this turned out to be fake, but the effort put into the project overall, the video, the concept, everything should really be commended here. They made it feel like a real Nintendo promo video of the time, and even showed off early tech demos for possible games like Metroid VR and Mario VR. Although, I have to say, by the time Mario comes on the screen, it becomes very evident this is fake. I mean, they fucking butchered my boy. What the hell happened? Hunter Ghost in Luigi's Mansion. Nintendo Power used to be a great place to go for video game information before the internet. They would include a lot about a featured game and would often give hints as to how to get past difficult segments of games. However, sometimes they did more harm than good, as is the case for Luigi's Mansion. In a small text blurb in a Nintendo Power, it suggested that Luigi should use caution when entering the Safari Room, as there is a Hunter Ghost waiting to turn him into a hunting trophy. Many saw this and kind of just assumed there was going to be a portrait ghost in the Safari Room, but as we all know, there is no portrait ghost in that room. This was apparently put into Nintendo Power to be some sort of inside joke, and I guess I could see the joke, I guess, but they had to have known this might have created some misconceptions about the game. A Hunter Ghost would have been pretty cool though, to be honest. He could have used a pop gun like the wind-up homies in the attic, and he could have even had like a pet ghost tiger or something. Really fuck Luigi up. But alas, the Safari Room, and well, it was just reserved for that big blue fuck ghost. Misfortune.gb. Misfortune.gb is a supposed original Game Boy game that was released and is seen as one of the scariest games ever made to certain people. Off the bat, this is giving me Polybius vibes, to be honest, as the repercussions of playing the game is people, get sad and end up killing themselves. It ends up reading a lot like a generic creepypasta, but for its time, I think it stood out. The game supposedly played a lot like a Pokemon game, and you played as a small child who runs into a shadowy figure. It asks you if you want to challenge it, and if you say yes, the game begins. It is a very difficult game with different floors and puzzles to complete, and if you make a mistake, you will lose the game, and a disturbing game over screen would pop up. It is said that people who were affected most by the game were staring at the game over screen for long periods of time. That, and apparently the music was something that many players pointed out being disturbing. However, knowing the chiptune soundscapes of the original Game Boy, I can't imagine something like this would, drive someone to death themselves out, stomp themselves out of life. I like the story and idea of this creepypasta, but no way this could have ever actually existed, much like Polybius. We would have heard something in the news about it. Alright, that's going to do it for this first episode. Like I said, the second episode will be coming out soon, and we will cover the rest of this iceberg. I really like this iceberg. It's talking about a lot of stuff I fell for when I was a kid, and hoaxes and urban legends from some of my favorite video games. So if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like down below, and I will see you guys in part 2 very soon. Thanks for all the recent support, and yeah, I will keep making these iceberg videos if you guys keep watching them. So, peace.